Hi, this is Tracy DiPaola. This is my second attempt tonight to record myself. The first one disappeared on VoiceThread after I finished it. It's really a bummer. So now we're on Screenomatic, which I'm also familiar with, and hopefully it won't disappear at the end. So I have been a teacher out in Sabunga, Alaska, in the Bering Strait School District. I'm a high school English teacher. I teach grades 9 through 12. I'm certified secondary, but I don't like middle school, so I don't teach middle school. It's the end of my third year in Alaska. I was in Huslia with the Yukon Koyukuk School District for the first year. It was a rough year. It was the first year I taught English. I have 2.5 years of teaching math experience in Colorado. I graduated with a degree in English secondary education and went for an interview for, I think it was social studies. I also have a degree in history and walked out with a math job, first job. Taught high school math, and then they have a real shortage of math teachers. It was not a good experience. I did not enjoy it, and went for an interview the following year, got a job teaching at a charter school. That was really rough, and they had me teaching science too, and I'm terrible at science. I lasted one semester. And then my third job was teaching math again, middle school math. I went in for a social studies interview, came out with a math job. I quit teaching after that year. I was like, that's it, I'm done. And my daughters graduated. I think I had about 7 years off, and my twins graduated in 2015. And I looked around, what do I want to do? And one of them is going to an expensive college. I'm like, I need to make more money than I'm making, so I moved to Alaska and attempted to teach again. And I love teaching English. It's a great job. It's a really wonderful job. Um, so I had 1 year in Huslia. That was rough. Athabascans are very fierce, warrior-like people. It was explained to me that because they're inland and surrounded by other native tribes, they had to fight for their um, rights and their land and food. So they're pretty aggressive, and I'm not. It was a very difficult year for me, and at the end of the year, one of my friends there, the special ed teacher, said you should move out to the coast and teach the Yupik people, or Siberian Yupik. They're really nice and they're gentle and kind. And so I did. I interviewed and got a job in Sabunga as the high school English teacher, and spent 2 years in Sabunga and really loved the job and loved the kids and loved the people. I did get tired of the weather. It's a 20-minute walk both ways in the morning and the afternoon to my house. And it's very windy in Sabunga. It's like being out on the prow of a ship out there. There's no trees to break up the wind. And so 30-mile-an-hour winds are very normal, 40-mile-an-hour winds sometimes, and a lot of snow drifts. And I just couldn't do another winter there. I'm going to miss the kids, but I just couldn't handle the weather anymore. So I am a master's candidate in the teaching and learning of the Masters of Education. My concentration is supposed to be in ESL, but there weren't enough classes to take an ESL. I did not get into the certificate program. I was not allowed in those classes, and they're not offering a lot of ESL classes. So I got two classes that kind of fit that, 621 culture, language, and literacy, and 691, which was topics, and she did an ESL class for that. That was Kathy Coulter last, I think it was last summer, 2017. And so the other two classes I've taken for my concentration are in technology, which I have done my best to adapt the ESL to those. One was differentiating instruction through technology, and the other one I have right now, digital citizenship. And it's really about a website, or no, a domain of your own, and that's about trying to get teachers to have their students set up a domain. And it's fascinating. So I have a website now, EnglishClassTechnology.com, and I'm learning so much. It's really been a wonderful experience. Um, and that's my 5 minute limit. I'll just tell you real quick. My three daughters. One is just graduated from college, and hang on, I'm going to pause. Sorry, I'm back. Had an interruption. Um, so one daughter's headed off to London on her internship. My twins are 21 years old. One is starting her junior year at Lewis and Clark College. She's a psychology major, and her twin sister, who was a professional ballerina, just finished her freshman year at Vassar College. I'm very proud of them, and they are my raison d'etre, besides teaching. So I really love them. Okay, so moving on to my research report. Like I said, this is my second time through, so hopefully I do a better job than I did the first time I went way over. So you're in luck. This is hopefully going to be shorter. The problem of practice is that for any teachers working in Alaska with Alaska Natives in remote rural villages is that the students are frequently in an English class, not engaged, they don't participate, and they don't feel good about their writing or the class, and they don't perform well. In my Huslia experience, the entire school body fell below the 25 percentile for standardized testing in ELA, and in Sabunga, almost everyone did. I had two of my this year they were juniors, previous year sophomore, when their ELA tests counted or came out, that were at proficient. Everyone else is below proficient, and the vast majority is way below proficient. I can't remember the exact wording. And it shows on their papers, grading papers. I'm like, oh, got my work cut out for me. So, so mixed with that is the culture, is a subsistence lifestyle. The people are out hunting, men are, 24/7. Like I'd walk up to school at 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was people out on four-wheelers with guns, looking for game. They're hunting all the time. And the boys in my classes were getting pulled out for hunting. And I know this because the office would call and say, send Sam down. His dad's here to take him hunting. Or the kids would say, oh, John Boy's out hunting, and he'd be gone for a couple days at a time. And they're allowed 2 days that are excused. And I would tell you that the families that do hunt the most, those kids were out 3 or 4 weeks of the year hunting. And, that's how they bring in the majority of their food. So that's one issue. I can't do anything about that. And other issues are those of social justice and the history of boarding schools, forced speaking English, forced curriculum of white, mainstream, middle class, classics, things that the kids have no interest in and no relation to. So that would be another problem of the practice. Attendance there is abysmal. According to the state website, we're at 77% for the Hogarth Kinnicook Senior Memorial School. But in my in-services, I will tell you that the paperwork that they were handing out to us, we were at 68%, and we were the lowest in the school district. And we were reprimanded. We needed to get involved with the community to get those kids in there. So the culture out there is really, school's not valorized highly. I will tell you that 68% represents an averaging of the grade school and the high school. High school's worse. My ninth grade first period class frequently had 6 out of 21 kids there for first period. Second period, they'd start rolling in. I rarely had the whole class. In fact, I had one girl who only came 3 times all year. So, so that's another problem. The curriculum. The previous year we were doing something from a Jesuit group, and it was based on good morals, good behavior, and it was all books, novels, like one novel per quarter. And it's a lot, especially when you're missing days at a time. And this year it was the Springboard platform, which is, I mean, they've got some minority writers in there, but it's still mainstream middle class, white, and it's not culturally responsive, and it's difficult, extremely difficult. So the curriculum's problem. Historically, we've got issues between white teachers, turnover of white teachers, in the forced boarding schools. So the research question, my research question was, how do students react to culturally responsive prompts in an English language arts class? My conceptual or theoretical framework is based in the work of Gloria Ladson-Billings and Django Paris, amongst others, but those are two of my main research articles that I read, and that I derived a lot of my work from. It was the main push. And they both worked with African American students in inner cities. I think Gloria Ladson-Billings was in Oakland, California. I can't remember where Django Paris was. And they both advocated for culturally responsive curriculum and culturally relevant curriculum. What do the kids care about? What are they interested in? Have them work on that. They can learn. Gloria worked in a grade school, and so she was like, all of your core activities, math, social studies, science, you can teach all of it from a culturally sustaining viewpoint. And if you want to get the kids engaged, if you want to get them participating, then they need to be interested in the material. And so teaching minority students white, mainstream, colonial, it's basically colonial literature, it is not terribly successful, and there's a ton of evidence to back that up. Let's see if there's anything else I used for that. So it does, it also fits in that whole idea of social justice, to not assimilate and to not try and, enculture Native, Alaska Natives or minority students with white culture. Let's see. Literature review. Identify a key theme or two from lit review, examining how lit review is related or informed your project. So my lit review was way too big to begin with. Dr. Jester let me know that I was all over the place. So I cut a bunch of stuff out and really focused on some themes. And the themes are culturally responsive, writing, teaching writing, English language arts, teaching writing, all that, pedagogy, and Alaska Native students and Native American students, because there's a dearth of information on Alaska Native students, specific to an English language arts class for sure. There's not much anyway, but so those three sort of areas, and then anything that addressed the themes of my research, which are how to address engagement and participation of students in class, their feelings about their writing, low self-efficacy, and their performance. So kind of a cross over of those two things. So like I used the article by Gloria Ladson-Billings. I think I have two by Django Paris. I used some articles on culturally responsive teaching methods in other countries. They're using it down with the Maori in New Zealand. I read an article on Malaysia. And just to get completely out of American subjectivity, just to see how other teachers are using it in different places, and with good effect. I wanted to deal with social justice, so I did look at some articles about bringing community members in, as opposed to the estrangement that we white teachers did in the past, like just pulling kids out and putting them in boarding schools, and the parents didn't see them for 9 months of the year. So I did bring elders into my classroom. I brought parents into my classroom, and I brought